There comes a point in life where the only way to win is to stop letting the world see you bleed. People will betray you. Life will throw stones at you, and every scar you carry will either be your prison or your weapon. You must learn to stand so tall, so unshakable, that no insult, no loss, no setback even gets the privilege of touching your soul. This is not about pretending. It's about building yourself into something so powerful that the chaos outside cannot reach the peace inside. You want respect? Stop reacting to every little thing. You want success? Stop wasting energy proving yourself to people who would rather see you fail. Silence is strength. Composure is dominance. And when you walk like nothing can break you, people start to believe it, and then so do you. Every time you choose not to explode, not to crumble, not to give them the satisfaction, you win a silent battle. That's how warriors move in this world. They keep their mind sharp, their heart armored, and their spirit untouchable. Learn to act as if nothing bothers you, because in time, nothing truly will. Control emotions. Never let them control you. The moment you let emotions dictate your actions, you hand over the steering wheel of your life to something impulsive, temporary, and often destructive. Emotions are like waves. They rise, they crash, and they disappear. But if you build your decisions on them, you'll find yourself constantly lost at sea. Think about every major mistake you've ever made. Chances are it wasn't logic that led you there. It was an emotional impulse. Anger making you say something you didn't mean. Excitement making you agree to something you couldn't handle. Fear making you quit before you even started. That's the danger. You can feel emotions, you can acknowledge them, but you must never surrender control to them. You must become the master of your internal state. Imagine you're a soldier in the middle of a battlefield. Fear will come, doubt will come, panic will knock on your door. But the difference between surviving and failing is whether you react or you respond. Reaction is instant, emotional, and dangerous. Response is calculated, measured, and in your control. Life is no different. When someone insults you, your emotions scream to fire back, to prove yourself, to defend your pride. But when you've trained yourself to pause, to breathe, to assess the bigger picture, you realize you don't need to respond to every jab. Sometimes the strongest move is to do nothing. That silence can be more powerful than any comeback. Think of emotions as storms inside your head. You cannot stop the rain, but you can build a shelter so strong that no matter how hard it pours, you remain dry. That shelter is self-control. And self-control doesn't come from wishing for it. It comes from discipline. It comes from repeatedly facing situations that trigger you. And instead of being swept away, you plant your feet firmly and decide how you will act. Every time you resist that impulse, you grow stronger. Every time you choose calm over chaos, you become more dangerous in the best possible way. Dangerous because you cannot be manipulated. People around you will try to provoke you. They want to see you snap. They want to pull you into their level of negativity so they can control the narrative. But when you control your emotions, they lose all power over you. Their insults turn into background noise. Their attempts to push you turn into wasted energy. You remain a mountain, unshaken, immovable. That's what intimidates people more than aggression. A man or woman who refuses to be controlled even by their own feelings. And here's the truth. Emotions are not your enemy. They are signals, like alarms going off. Anger tells you there's something you don't agree with. Fear tells you there's something uncertain. Sadness tells you you've lost something important. But these signals are not orders. They are not commands. You don't have to act on them. You can take the information and still choose your own path. That's the difference between the average person and someone truly powerful. The average person is a slave to their emotional impulses. The powerful person uses emotions as data, not instructions. If you want to control your emotions, you must first control your environment. Limit the triggers you allow in your daily life. Surround yourself with people who bring you stability, not chaos. Feed your mind with things that strengthen you, not things that constantly pull you into anger, fear, or jealousy. And just as importantly, control your physical state. Lack of sleep, poor diet, and no exercise make you more emotionally unstable. The stronger your body, the more stable your mind. Also, learn to delay your responses. One of the most powerful habits you can build is the pause. When something happens, good or bad, don't react instantly. Take a breath, count to 10, or walk away if you need to. That pause is where your power lives. It gives your rational mind time to catch up with your emotional impulses. It prevents you from making decisions you'll regret. It teaches the world that you cannot be rushed, pressured, or manipulated into action. Remember, people will always judge you by how you carry yourself when things go wrong. Anyone can be calm when life is good. But the true measure of control is how you act when everything is on fire. Will you be the one screaming, panicking, and making it worse? Or will you be the one who stays still, keeps a clear head, and finds the way out? Every great leader, every person who's earned deep respect has mastered this, staying in control when the storm hits. And here's a reality check. Controlling your emotions does not mean suppressing them. If you bottle them up, they will explode later. Control means processing them in a healthy way. You might channel your anger into the gym, your sadness into art, your frustration into building something meaningful. That way, you turn what could have been destructive energy into productive energy. This is what separates winners from quitters. Winners don't deny their feelings. They master them, redirect them, and use them as fuel. When you live with this level of control, you gain a new kind of freedom. You stop being a victim of your moods. You stop sabotaging relationships because of impulsive words. You stop making poor decisions that take months or years to fix. You become intentional with every step you take. And most importantly, you start earning respect from yourself. That self-respect is priceless because it builds unshakable confidence. You know you can trust yourself not to fall apart when life tests you. The world is full of people who want to act tough, but toughness isn't about how loud you can shout or how hard you can hit. It's about how calm you can stay under pressure. It's about holding your ground when every instinct is telling you to run, to lash out, to lose control. That's the real fight. And once you win that fight inside, the battles outside become much easier. So train yourself. Catch yourself in moments of emotional reaction and choose differently. Reflect afterward and ask, did I control my emotions or did they control me? Over time, you will notice a shift. Things that used to make you explode will barely move you. Insults that once hurt will sound like background noise. Setbacks that once broke you will feel like small bumps in the road. That's when you know you've evolved from being a slave to your emotions into being the master of your life. Because in the end, no one can truly defeat you if they cannot get inside your head. And the moment you decide that your mind, your actions, and your destiny are yours alone, you've already won. Your silence speaks louder than your words. In a world that thrives on noise, on constant chatter, on endless streams of opinions, there is a rare and almost frightening power in someone who knows when to stay silent. People are addicted to reacting. The moment something happens, good or bad, they feel compelled to speak, to justify, to explain, to retaliate. But those who master silence understand something deeper. Words are cheap when thrown carelessly, but silence is priceless because it cannot be taken back, twisted, or used against you. Silence forces others to sit with their thoughts, their guilt, their fear, or their curiosity. It leaves a gap that they're desperate to fill, and in that gap, you hold the power. Silence is not weakness. It is strategy. It is the discipline to resist the urge to over-explain when accused, to stay calm when provoked, to maintain composure when others expect an emotional reaction. Every time you choose silence over impulsive words, you make people question what you're thinking, what you're planning, and what you're capable of. The unknown is intimidating, and silence builds that unknown around you like armor. There's a reason the most respected people in history were not the loudest in the room. True leaders, true warriors, true visionaries do not waste their breath on meaningless arguments or desperate attempts to prove themselves. They understand that their actions will eventually make their words unnecessary. Silence backed by results is louder than any speech you could give. When someone insults you, your first instinct is to defend yourself. That's human nature. But when you've developed the strength to remain silent, you turn the insult back on the person throwing it. Instead of engaging in their game, you refuse to give them the reaction they crave. You watch them grow more frustrated, more desperate for your attention, because your silence has robbed them of control. You've said nothing, yet you've dominated the exchange. That's the paradox of silence. It can be the most aggressive form of communication without saying a single word. Silence is also the great revealer. When you speak less, you hear more. You notice the things others don't. You catch the slip-ups, the inconsistencies, the truths people accidentally reveal when they think you're not paying attention. While everyone else is busy shouting their opinions over each other, you're gathering information. And information is power. The one who listens more than they speak always has the upper hand because they understand before they act, and they strike only when the moment is right. But silence is not just a weapon against others, it is a weapon against yourself. When you learn to hold back your words, you also learn to hold back your own emotional impulses. You give yourself the gift of time to think, to process, to make sure what you say aligns with your purpose. Most people regret the words they spoke in anger, not the words they never said. A moment of silence can prevent a lifetime of damage. There's a certain mystery to silence that no amount of talking can replicate. The more you explain yourself, the more predictable you become. The more you react to every situation, the easier you are to read and manipulate. But when you stay silent, people are left to guess. Are you angry? Are you planning something? Are you unaffected? They don't know. And that uncertainty gives you leverage. You're no longer playing their game. You're making them play yours. Of course, silence does not mean passivity. It doesn't mean you sit back and let the world walk over you. It means you choose your battles with precision. You conserve your energy for the moments that truly matter. When you do speak, people listen because they know you don't waste your words. A single sentence from someone who is usually silent can carry more weight than an hour-long rant from someone who never stops talking. In business, silence can close deals. In arguments, silence can de-escalate conflict or create pressure. In relationships, silence can signal strength, independence, and self-respect. The key is intentionality. Knowing when silence is the most powerful statement you can make. It's not about avoiding communication, it's about mastering it. Silence also teaches you patience. In a noisy, impatient world, being silent is an act of control. It forces you to observe before you act, to think before you move. And that control makes you dangerous to those who thrive on chaos because they can't provoke you, they can't read you, and they can't predict you. Silence denies them their favorite weapon, your emotional reaction. One of the most valuable aspects of silence is how it builds respect over time. People respect those who are measured in their responses. They respect those who don't need to shout to be heard. They respect the person who can sit in a room, say very little, and still command attention. Silence says, I don't need to prove myself to you. I know my value. That kind of quiet confidence is magnetic. It draws people in without you having to chase them. But let's be clear, silence must be paired with action. Silence without movement is nothing but absence. The real power comes when your silence is accompanied by relentless work behind the scenes. While others waste time arguing, defending themselves, and chasing validation, you're building, creating, improving. And then when the results are visible, your silence turns into the loudest statement of all. You didn't need to announce your greatness. You simply became it. Silence is also a form of emotional self-defense. When you are silent, you give yourself the chance to avoid traps. People will try to twist your words, to bait you into saying something you'll regret, to provoke an outburst they can use against you. Silence gives them nothing to work with. You remain untouchable because you've refused to hand them ammunition. Even in conflict, silence can be a weapon of dominance. Imagine an argument where one person is shouting, throwing accusations, and demanding answers, and the other person is calm, still, and silent. Who looks more in control? Who looks stronger? The one who is quiet. Because control is attractive, and silence is the ultimate display of control. And here's the truth. Most noise in the world is insecurity disguised as confidence. People talk excessively when they fear being forgotten, misunderstood, or underestimated. But the truly secure do not fear being silent because they know their worth is not measured by how much they say, but by the impact they make. When you understand this, silence stops feeling like doing nothing. You realize it's an intentional act of strength, strategy, and self-respect. You realize that in many situations, saying less makes you far more memorable. And you realize that the loudest voice in the room is often the weakest. Master your silence, and you master your presence. When you speak, speak with purpose. When you're silent, let it be deliberate. And when people can't figure you out, when they can't predict your next move, when they can't provoke you into reacting, you've already won. Because in a world where everyone is desperate to be heard, the one who can hold their silence is the one who truly stands out. Composure in chaos earns respect. Anyone can look strong when the seas are calm, when the sun is shining, and life is running exactly as planned. But the real test of a person's strength is not in those easy moments, it's in the storm. Chaos has a way of stripping away the mask. When the pressure is on, when the room is filled with tension, when the stakes are high and panic is in the air, that is when the truth comes out. Most people crumble under chaos. They let fear dictate their moves. They speak without thinking. They act without strategy. But the rare individual who stands tall, calm, and unshaken when the world is falling apart instantly commands respect. Composure is not the absence of fear. It is the mastery of it. It is feeling the weight of the situation, but refusing to let it bend you. It is the discipline to keep your mind clear while everyone else is losing theirs. That clarity becomes your greatest weapon. While others make mistakes in the heat of the moment, you stay focused, assessing the situation, planning your next move. And when you act, it's with precision, not desperation. People notice that. They might not say it, but they see it and they trust it. In moments of chaos, leadership is revealed. Titles don't matter. Experience doesn't matter. Even skill can fall apart under pressure. What matters is who can remain steady when everyone else is breaking. People gravitate toward that steadiness. They follow the one who looks like they know where they're going, even if the path isn't clear yet. Your composure becomes a lighthouse in the storm, guiding others simply because you refuse to panic. Chaos magnifies every reaction. A single look of fear from you can spread like wildfire to everyone around you. But the reverse is also true. A steady, composed presence can calm a room faster than words ever could. When you are calm, you give others permission to believe that everything will be okay. That is the foundation of respect. People respect the one who can maintain control not only of themselves, but also the atmosphere around them. But composure is not something you magically summon when disaster strikes. It is a skill built in the small moments through discipline and self-control. You train for chaos by mastering yourself daily, through routines, through facing discomfort, through putting yourself in situations that test your patience and focus. The more you've been through, the less anything rattles you. Those who break easily in chaos are usually those who've spent their lives avoiding discomfort. Those who remain calm are often the ones who've already walked through the fire. There's a certain unshakable confidence that comes from knowing you can handle anything. And that confidence is magnetic. When others see you staying composed in situations that would crush most people, they can't help but respect you. They know you're not easily broken. They know you won't make reckless decisions. They know you can be trusted when it matters most. That trust is a form of power. In business, composure in chaos can close deals others would lose. In sports, it can turn defeat into victory. In life, it can mean the difference between a crisis spiraling out of control and a crisis being managed with precision. It's not about pretending nothing is wrong. It's about carrying yourself in such a way that the problem never controls you. People often mistake composure for coldness, but they are not the same. Composure is emotional intelligence in action. It's knowing that your feelings are valid, but also knowing that acting on them impulsively will only make the chaos worse. It's understanding that the best way to solve a problem is to think, not to react. And that thinking requires stillness in the mind, even when the world outside is anything but still. Chaos will test your patience, your values, your focus, and your endurance. It will try to pull you into the noise, into the panic, into the emotional whirlwind. The moment you let it take you, you lose control. But the moment you step back, breathe, and hold your ground, you take control back, not just of yourself, but of the entire situation. People respect that because it's rare. They wish they could do it themselves. And deep down, they admire anyone who can remain untouchable in the face of disorder. To achieve composure in chaos, you must detach from the outcome. Not in a careless way, but in the sense that you accept you can only control your actions, not the storm itself. When you stop trying to control what's uncontrollable, your energy shifts. You focus on the moves you can make, the things you can influence, and you waste nothing on what's beyond your reach. That kind of focus is what allows you to act effectively when everyone else is distracted by fear. And make no mistake, people are watching you during chaos more than any other time. They might ignore you when things are calm, but in the storm, every eye turns to the one who looks steady. That's why composure is so powerful. It's not just about surviving chaos. It's about defining how you are perceived in the moments that matter most. The beauty of composure is that it outlasts the moment. Long after the crisis is over, people will remember how you carried yourself. They'll remember that you didn't lose your temper, that you didn't crumble, that you didn't add to the chaos. They'll remember that you stood firm, that you thought clearly, and that you moved with purpose. That memory will follow you into future opportunities, relationships, and leadership roles. But composure isn't just for the sake of others, it's for yourself. When you remain calm in chaos, you keep your health, your sanity, and your decision-making intact. Stress destroys those who let it consume them. Composure protects you from making choices you'll regret, from burning bridges in the heat of the moment, and from exhausting yourself with unnecessary drama. The truth is, anyone can panic. That's the easy route. The difficult, disciplined choice is to hold the line. And that's exactly why it earns respect, because it's rare, because it's admirable, and because it's the mark of someone who refuses to be controlled by the storm. When the world around you is loud, messy, and unpredictable, let your calm be the loudest thing about you. Let people wonder how you do it. Let them see that chaos might touch your surroundings, but it never touches your center. That is the kind of strength that can't be faked. The kind of strength that doesn't just demand respect, it naturally attracts it. Because in the end, when the storm passes, and it always does, People won't remember what you said in the panic. They'll remember how you stood. They'll remember the stillness in your eyes, the steadiness in your voice, and the unshakable way you carried yourself through the fire. And that is the kind of respect that lasts forever. Stop seeking validation. Own your worth. The fastest way to lose yourself is to live for the approval of others. From the moment we're young, we're conditioned to look outside ourselves for permission. Parents telling us what's right. Teachers telling us if we're good enough. Society setting invisible standards for what we should be, do, and look like. Over time, this turns into a prison we don't even see. We start chasing likes, compliments, and applause as if our existence depends on it. But the truth is brutal. The moment you make your self-worth dependent on someone else's opinion, you've given them complete control over your life. They can lift you up or destroy you at will. That's not freedom. That's slavery in disguise. You will never earn lasting peace if you are addicted to validation, because it's never enough. You could get 100 compliments, but one criticism will haunt you for days. You could win today and still feel empty tomorrow because the crowd has moved on to the next thing. Living for approval is like chasing the horizon. You will never reach it. You will exhaust yourself trying to please everyone, and in the end, you will please no one, not even yourself. Owning your worth means understanding that you are enough without external confirmation. It means your value is intrinsic, not negotiable, not up for debate. You don't need someone to clap for you to know you've done well. You don't need constant reassurance to know you're on the right path. You stand firm in who you are, whether the world cheers or boos, because your worth was never theirs to give in the first place. This shift in mindset changes everything. When you stop seeking validation, you stop making choices to impress. You stop bending yourself into shapes that fit someone else's expectations. You stop saying yes to things you hate just to avoid disappointing others. Instead, you start living in alignment with your own values. You start doing things because they matter to you, because they feel right to you, because they build the life you actually want, not the life that looks good to someone else. People will notice the change. When you carry yourself with self-respect, when you no longer chase approval, you become magnetic. Why? Because confidence that doesn't need validation is rare. It's real. It's the kind of confidence people can't fake. And here's the irony. When you stop caring so much about what others think, you often end up earning more respect from them. People are drawn to those who are unapologetically themselves because it gives them permission to do the same. But don't mistake owning your worth for arrogance. Arrogance screams to be noticed. Self-worth is quietly unshakable. Arrogance is fragile. It's a performance that needs an audience. Self-worth stands even when no one is watching. When you own your worth, you don't need to broadcast it because it's not about proving anything to anyone. It's about knowing deep in your core that you matter, that you're capable, and that you're enough without anyone having to validate it for you. Let's be honest, seeking validation is a form of fear. It's the fear of being rejected, of being alone, of not measuring up. But fear makes you easy to control. When people know you need their approval, they can withhold it to manipulate you. They can push you into doing things you don't want to do. They can make you doubt yourself every time they frown or criticize. But when you own your worth, their approval becomes irrelevant. They can't manipulate what they don't control. They can't threaten what they don't own. Owning your worth also means taking responsibility for your own sense of fulfillment. If you rely on others to make you feel worthy, you'll always be at their mercy. But if you build your self-worth from within, through discipline, through keeping promises to yourself, through pursuing your goals, you create a foundation no one can take from you. That's real independence. It's also important to understand that not everyone will like you, no matter what you do. You could be the kindest, most skilled, most well-intentioned person in the world, and someone will still criticize you. Someone will still misunderstand you. Someone will still dislike you simply because you exist. Once you accept this, you're free. Free from the exhausting and impossible mission of universal approval. You start focusing on being true to yourself instead of being palatable to everyone else. When you stop seeking validation, your life becomes simpler. Decisions get clearer. You stop overthinking every move, wondering how it will be perceived. You trust yourself to make the call because you're no longer looking over your shoulder for someone else's approval stamp. That clarity leads to faster action, stronger boundaries, and better results. And here's the real reward: peace. When your self-worth is self-generated, you're no longer riding the emotional roller coaster of other people's opinions. You stop feeling like you're on trial every day. You stop carrying the weight of constant performance. You live lighter, freer, and more focused. You start creating from a place of authenticity, which not only feels better, but also produces better outcomes because your actions are fueled by genuine passion, not by fear of judgment. Of course, this doesn't mean you should never listen to feedback or consider other perspectives. It means you don't let those opinions define you. You can take constructive criticism and use it to grow without letting it crush your sense of self. You can value advice without being dependent on it. That's the balance. Open to learning, closed to dependency. Owning your worth is a daily practice. Some days you'll feel it deeply, other days you'll doubt yourself. That's normal. The key is to keep choosing self-respect even when your confidence wavers. Keep reminding yourself that your value is not determined by the opinions, moods, or attention of others. Keep showing up for yourself even when no one is clapping. In the end, the loudest validation you'll ever receive is from the life you build. When you look around and see that your choices reflect who you truly are, not who you were told to be, that's proof enough. When you wake up knowing you're living on your own terms, you won't need applause. You'll have something far more powerful, pride in yourself. Because the moment you stop seeking validation and start owning your worth, you stop playing the game of proving yourself and start living the life you were meant to live. True strength is invisible until tested. It's easy to look strong when nothing is pressing against you. When the days are smooth and the path is clear, anyone can stand tall and smile. But true strength is not built or proven in moments of comfort. It is forged in the moments that threaten to break you. You can't measure the depth of a foundation until the storm hits. Or you can't measure the resilience of steel until it's under pressure. And you can't truly know the strength of a person until life decides to test them. Most people confuse the appearance of strength with the reality of it. They think muscles, loud voices, or a tough attitude equal power. But those things vanish quickly when the pressure is real. Strength isn't about how you look. It's about how you hold yourself when everything feels like it's falling apart. The strongest people you'll ever meet don't always stand in the spotlight, flexing or boasting. They're often quiet, often underestimated, until the moment comes when they're pushed to their limits. That's when they reveal what they're truly made of. Life has a way of pulling back the curtain. Sooner or later, you will face something you didn't plan for. A betrayal, a failure, a loss, a blow so heavy it knocks the wind out of you. And in that moment, you will learn more about yourself than in years of comfort. You will see whether you crumble, whether you stall, whether you give up, or whether you dig deep into a place inside you that you didn't even know existed. That hidden place, that's where your true strength lives. Strength reveals itself not in your ability to avoid pain, but in your ability to endure it without losing yourself. It's not about denying fear or sadness. It's about facing them and moving forward anyway. It's the ability to keep putting one foot in front of the other when the weight feels unbearable. It's refusing to let temporary circumstances permanently define you. The truth is, most of the time, your true strength doesn't look like a movie scene. It's not dramatic. It's not glamorous. It's quiet. It's in the decision to get out of bed after another sleepless night. It's in holding your tongue when you could explode. It's in showing up to work when you're drowning inside. It's in choosing to forgive when bitterness feels justified. True strength is often invisible to the world, but it's life-changing for the one living it. And the beauty of strength being tested is that it multiplies through trial. Every time you endure something you thought would break you, you walk away a little tougher, a little wiser, a little more unshakable. Over time, those moments stack on top of each other, building a foundation so solid that future storms don't shake you the way they used to. The pain doesn't stop coming, but it stops controlling you. Strength is also revealed in how you carry others when they can't carry themselves. In chaos, some people fall apart, but the truly strong become anchors for those around them. They absorb the pressure, they keep their composure, and they give others something to hold on to. And often, they don't even see it as strength. They see it as doing what's necessary. That's because real strength doesn't need to be announced. It simply exists. But here's the thing. If you avoid challenges, you'll never find out how strong you really are. Too many people live in the safety of comfort, never pushing themselves, never putting themselves in situations where they might fail. They protect themselves from discomfort, thinking it will make life easier, but all it does is keep their strength untested and undeveloped. You only grow by walking into the fire, not by standing outside of it. Strength is also about adaptability. The strongest people are not the ones who can force the world to bend to their will. They are the ones who can bend without breaking when the world pushes back. They adjust, they pivot, they find another way. They don't waste time wishing the challenge wasn't there. They face it as it is and decide to overcome it anyway. It's important to remember that being tested doesn't always come in dramatic, life-changing moments. Sometimes it's in the small daily battles, keeping discipline when no one is watching, resisting the urge to quit on your goals when progress is slow, having the patience to wait for the right opportunity instead of chasing instant gratification. Those small tests are just as important as the big ones because they prepare you for the day the big one comes. True strength also has humility. People who've been tested know what it's like to be on the edge of breaking, so they don't walk around acting untouchable. They know life can change in an instant. They respect the fight it takes to survive. And because they've been through it, they're often the first to reach a hand out to someone else in the storm. That's a strength that goes beyond physical or mental, it's moral strength. The thing about being tested is that it doesn't just prove your strength to others, it proves it to yourself. There's a confidence that comes from surviving something you didn't think you could. You no longer wonder if you can handle life. You know you can. And that knowledge changes the way you